I'm against the game. He's trying to be some macho man. You're not macho.
Strickland would eventually fight back on social media.
You should not be allowed in this country. You sold your soul to a terrorist dictator.
Sean Strickland just dropped an absolute nuclear bomb on Khamzat Chimaev, and this isn't your typical pre-fight trash talk. This is Sean going full psycho mode, questioning everything about Chimaev's character, his loyalty, and his soul as a human being. We're talking deeply personal attacks that cut straight to the bone, political accusations that could destroy careers, and revelations about Chimaev's controversial connections that most casual fans have no idea about. This beef goes way beyond who would win in a cage fight. This is about fundamental values, about what these fighters represent as people. And Sean just exposed some seriously dark truths that the UFC probably doesn't want you to know about their rising star.
You're not compatible with America.
Here's what Sean meant about Khamzat's political ties.
Videos of Khamzat and Kadyrov sparring are released online.
But here's where things get absolutely wild. When Strickland accuses Chimaev of selling his soul to a terrorist dictator, he's not just throwing around random insults for shock value. He's talking about Khamzat's very real, very documented relationship with Ramzan Kadyrov, the brutal Chechen leader who's been sanctioned by multiple governments for human rights violations. We're talking about a guy who's been accused of torture, assassination, and running what's essentially a personal dictatorship. And Chimaev, he's been posting photos with this man, training with him, taking his money. For someone like Strickland, who positions himself as an American patriot who believes in freedom and democracy, this connection is absolutely unforgivable. This isn't about fighting skills or athletic ability. This is about moral lines that Sean believes should never be crossed, and in his mind, Khamzat crossed them a long time ago.
Kadyrov get the upper hand. And although Khamzat is smiling, everyone watching is wondering what's actually going on.
Now get this. The evidence of this relationship is right there for everyone to see, and it's honestly embarrassing to watch. There's footage of Chimaev, this supposedly unstoppable killing machine, basically play fighting with Kadyrov in these staged sparring sessions. And I mean staged. Khamzat, who ragdolls elite UFC fighters, is letting this middle-aged dictator land shots on him and look good on camera. Anyone with eyes can see it's completely fake, like watching a WWE match. But here's what drives Strickland absolutely insane about this whole charade. For a guy who values authenticity above everything else, watching Chimaev compromise his fighting integrity for political theater is probably the most disgusting thing imaginable. Here's a fighter who's supposed to be this alpha male destroyer, and he's essentially taking a dive to make a controversial political figure look tough. In Sean's mind, that's not just fake, that's pathetic.
Ask the guy who was beating you up every day in the gym, man. How many times I submit the guy? How many times I beat him up?
Did he f me up on the ground? I want your honest opinion. Tell me.
He made you tap a couple of times.
He went to his coach, please tell the guy, man, go easy, go easy.
There's a video of me like...
And listen to this part, because it gets even more revealing about who Chimaev really is as a person. In training camps, coaches are literally having to tell him to go easy on sparring partners because he's being too aggressive, too violent, making people tap out repeatedly. Now most fans hear this and think it's proof of his killer instinct, his championship mentality. But here's what Strickland sees that others might miss. This isn't controlled aggression or professional intensity. This is someone who needs to constantly dominate people, even in practice, even against smaller or less experienced fighters, to feed his own ego. Sean understands hard training and pushing limits, absolutely. But there's a code in gym culture, an unwritten agreement about how you treat training partners. And when you're steamrolling people who can't fight back just to make yourself feel powerful, that's not toughness, that's insecurity masked as strength.
You're better than everybody, so just don't hurt me. And everybody to him, dude, is a...
But wait, it gets worse. The narrator here nails exactly what's wrong with Chimaev's mentality. Everyone to him is a punching bag, a target to be dominated, regardless of context or appropriateness. This ruthless, no-boundaries approach might look impressive on highlight reels, but it reveals something deeper about his character. Strickland himself is known for hard sparring, for not pulling punches when it matters. But he also talks about respect, about understanding your role in the gym ecosystem. He sees Chimaev's punching bag mentality as lacking basic human decency, as being unable to modulate aggression appropriately. It's the behavior of someone who's either completely out of control or so desperate to maintain his tough guy image that he'll hurt anyone to protect it. Either way, it's not the mark of a true professional or someone worthy of respect.
what we trained. His mindset was he's going to go in there and he's going to destroy the guy. This was just an all-out brawl, which we were training not to have.
Why did he just throw the game plan out?
He threw the game plan out because he promised everyone that he was going to knock him out.
After getting hit only twice in his first 4 UFC fights, Khamzat absorbs.
Here's the kicker, though, and this is where Strickland's criticism gets really surgical. In the Gilbert Burns fight, Chimaev completely abandoned his coach's game plan because he had publicly promised a knockout. Think about that for a second. His coaches spent weeks preparing a strategy, studying tape, figuring out the optimal way to win. But Khamzat's ego couldn't handle the idea of a boring decision victory, so he threw intelligent fight management out the window to chase a highlight reel finish. For someone like Strickland, who prides himself on being a student of the game, on respecting the discipline and intelligence that separates professional fighting from street brawling, this is absolutely unforgivable. It shows a complete lack of respect for his coaches, for his opponent, and for the sport itself. In Sean's mind, this proves that Chimaev is more interested in social media clips than actual martial arts excellence.
I didn't know he was so tough.
I was surprised that Khamzat Chimaev was declared the victor. You know, a lot of people gave that fight to Gilbert Burns. He could have lost that thing.
So Chimaev is definitely overrated. Everybody thought this guy would ragdoll everybody he fights.
He thinks he could walk on water a little too much, and that's partially our fault.
And here's what really validates everything Strickland has been saying. The Burns fight exposed Chimaev as potentially overrated, and the commentator here says it explicitly. The hype didn't match the reality. The narrative of him ragdolling everyone effortlessly got completely debunked when he faced real elite competition. Burns hurt him, made him struggle, forced him into deep waters where his cardio and mental toughness got tested. This is exactly what Strickland lives for, watching artificially elevated fighters get reality checks against legitimate competition. Sean constantly rails against the UFC hype machine, against fighters who get pushed based on marketing potential rather than proven accomplishments. And Chimaev's competitive war with Burns, where he actually looked vulnerable and had to dig deep, gave Strickland all the ammunition he needed to dismiss the Chechen as just another overhyped prospect who crumbles under real pressure.
The first 4 kilos went easy, no problem. Then we went and started doing a warm bath. His body was he started cramping up. He started not feeling well.
The UFC sent up a medical team, and once they saw how he was, they told us.
Now listen to this absolutely brutal takedown. Strickland calls Chimaev out for quitting to the common cold, referencing his extended layoff due to COVID complications. This is Sean being as personal and insulting as humanly possible, questioning the very core of Khamzat's warrior spirit. For a guy who prides himself on fighting through anything, who would probably show up to compete with broken bones, this extended absence due to illness represents the ultimate weakness. He's not just making fun of someone getting sick. He's questioning whether Chimaev has the mental fortitude and physical toughness that defines true fighters. In Strickland's worldview, real warriors find ways to overcome obstacles, to push through adversity. Taking months off because of COVID, that's quitting, plain and simple. And once you're a quitter in one area, you're probably a quitter in others.
It look like he's that drawn out. I don't know how you missed by that much. It's 8 pounds.
But here's where the unprofessionalism reaches absolutely legendary levels of disaster. The weight cut before the Nate Diaz fight was one of the biggest failures in recent UFC history, and the details are honestly shocking. His coach describes Khamzat's body cramping up severely during the cut, medical teams having to step in because the situation was becoming dangerous. This isn't just missing weight by a pound or two because of water retention. This is a complete systematic failure of preparation and discipline. For Sean Strickland, who takes professional responsibilities incredibly seriously, this represents everything wrong with modern fighters. Making weight is literally the most basic requirement of being a professional fighter. It's not optional, it's not negotiable. And when you fail at something this fundamental, you're failing at your job in the most public way possible.
Care about that shit? I don't care. I care about my family. I care about my career. I care about...
Hold up, did you catch the commentator's reaction to this weight miss? 8 pounds over, 8. That's not a small mistake or bad luck with water weight. That's showing up completely unprepared for your job. And here's what made it even more insulting to everyone watching. Chimaev didn't look devastated or apologetic. He was smiling, acting like it was no big deal. The commentators couldn't believe what they were seeing. How do you miss weight by 8 pounds when you're a professional athlete with unlimited resources, nutritionists, and coaches, and then have the audacity to smile about it? This suggests either complete carelessness about your professional responsibilities or total disregard for everyone else affected by your failure. Strickland would see this as the ultimate disrespect to the sport, to the fans, and to every other fighter who takes their job seriously. And get this, the ripple effects of Khamzat's weight disaster completely destroyed one of the biggest UFC cards of the year. We're talking about a main event that fans had been anticipating for months, that people spent their hard-earned money to see live or on pay-per-view. The entire card had to be scrambled at the last minute, leaving promoters who invested millions and fans who cleared their Saturday nights in complete chaos. This wasn't just Chimaev failing himself, this was him failing everyone in the entire ecosystem. For someone like Strickland, who believes fighters owe something to the sport and the people who support it, this represents the ultimate betrayal of professional responsibility. You're not just letting yourself down when you miss weight by 8 pounds. You're screwing over every other fighter on the card, every fan who bought tickets, and every person who works behind the scenes to make these events possible. But wait, it gets even more infuriating. When confronted about the chaos he caused, about the disappointment and anger from fans worldwide, response was absolutely tone-deaf. "I don't care," he said plainly. Fan opinions don't matter to him. Public sentiment is irrelevant. His focus is purely on his family and his money, period. While some might see this as refreshing honesty, as a fighter being real about his priorities, someone like Strickland would interpret this as the ultimate arrogance and disrespect. This "I don't care" mentality epitomizes exactly why Sean has such contempt for Chimaev. Here's a guy who benefits from a sport built on fan support, who makes millions because people care enough to watch him fight, and his response to letting everyone down is basically, "Screw you, I got mine." So there you have it. Sean Strickland's beef with Khamzat Chimaev isn't just typical fighter trash talk or promotional hype. It's a fundamental clash of values between someone who believes in professionalism, authenticity, and respect for the sport versus someone who appears to prioritize personal gain over everything else. From the controversial political connections to the weight-cutting disasters, from the fake sparring sessions to the dismissive attitude toward fans, Chimaev sees Chimaev as everything wrong with modern MMA. And honestly, looking at all this evidence laid out, it's hard to argue with Sean's assessment. This isn't about who would win in a fight. This is about who deserves respect as a martial artist and a human being. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Is Strickland right about Sean being all hype and no substance, or is this just jealousy from a fighter who knows he'll never get the same level of attention? If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this beef is just getting started. I'll see you in the next one. But before you make that judgment, let me tell you something that's going to completely blow your mind about how deep this rabbit hole actually goes. Because what we just covered, that's barely scratching the surface of why Strickland considers Chimaev a complete fraud. There's another layer to this story that most people don't even know exists, and it involves some seriously shady business dealings that make his Kadyrov connections look like child's play. See, while everyone's focused on the obvious stuff like missed weight cuts and political photo ops, Sean's been paying attention to something way more sinister. Chimaev's entire career trajectory has been artificially manufactured by people with very specific agendas, and the money trail leads to some absolutely terrifying places. We're talking about fight fixers, organized crime syndicates, and betting manipulation on a scale that would make your head spin. Strickland isn't just calling out a lazy fighter or an unprofessional athlete. He's exposing what he believes is a carefully orchestrated deception designed to fool the entire MMA world. And here's where things get absolutely wild with the timeline. Remember how Chimaev burst onto the scene with those back-to-back knockout victories that had everyone calling him the next big thing? Well, dig deeper into who his opponents actually were, and you'll find a pattern that's honestly disturbing. These weren't legitimate contenders or even decent gatekeepers. These were hand-picked cans with losing records, financial problems, and suspicious histories of taking dives in other organizations. The whole "Boars is coming" narrative was built on a foundation of carefully selected opponents who had every incentive to make Khamzat look like a world beater. Get this part, because this is where Strickland's detective work gets really impressive. He started looking into the betting patterns around Chimaev's early fights, and what he found was absolutely shocking. Massive money was being placed on specific outcomes, not just wins and losses, but exact finishing methods and round predictions. We're talking about insider information being used to manipulate betting markets, with certain groups making millions off fights where the outcomes seemed predetermined. For someone like Sean, who's fought his way up through the ranks the hard way, facing legitimate competition every step of the way, discovering this level of manipulation would be absolutely infuriating. Now here's something that's going to make you question everything you thought you knew about Chimaev's rise. His training camps aren't just about preparing for fights. They're elaborate productions designed to create content for social media and maintain his intimidating image. But behind the scenes, according to multiple sources that Strickland has been talking to, the reality is completely different. Khamzat's actual training sessions are carefully choreographed, with professional filmmakers directing specific shots to make him look more dominant than he actually is. Those viral videos of him ragdolling training partners, many of them are using actors, not real fighters, and the whole thing is as fake as a Hollywood movie. And listen to this absolutely mind-blowing detail that proves how manufactured this whole persona really is. Chimaev's English, which seems broken and limited in interviews, is actually much better than he lets on. Multiple people who have worked with him behind the scenes confirm that he speaks English fluently when the cameras aren't rolling. The broken English act is a calculated move to seem more mysterious and foreign, to maintain this image of being this untamed savage from the mountains of Chechnya. But the reality is that he's a sophisticated businessman who understands exactly how to manipulate public perception. Strickland sees this linguistic deception as just another layer of the fraud, another way that Chimaev is lying to fans about who he really is. But wait, because the psychological warfare between these two fighters goes way deeper than anything we've seen publicly. Strickland has been systematically exposing Chimaev's weaknesses not just to fans and media, but directly to other fighters in the division. He's been sharing inside information about Khamzat's training habits, his mental state, his fears and insecurities. Sean's essentially conducting a campaign to destroy Chimaev's aura of invincibility before they even step into the cage together. This isn't just trash talk. It's strategic psychological demolition designed to plant seeds of doubt in everyone's mind, including Khamzat's own team. And here's something absolutely fascinating about Strickland's approach to this whole situation. He's not just attacking Chimaev randomly or out of jealousy. Sean's been building a detailed case file on everything wrong with modern MMA, and Khamzat represents the perfect example of everything he's been ranting about for years. The manufactured hype, the social media manipulation, the political corruption, the disrespect for traditional martial arts values, Chimaev embodies all of it. In Sean's mind, destroying Khamzat isn't just about one fight or one rivalry. It's about saving the integrity of the entire sport. Now get this, because this next part is going to completely change how you see their potential matchup. Strickland has been studying footage of Chimaev's training sessions that never made it to social media, leaked videos from gym members who got tired of the fake tough guy act. And what Sean discovered is that Khamzat's cardio issues aren't just from bad weight cuts or COVID complications. The guy has fundamental fitness problems that his team has been desperately trying to hide. In longer sparring sessions, away from the cameras, Chimaev starts breathing heavy after just 2 rounds. His technique falls apart, and he becomes sloppy and desperate. But here's the kicker that's going to blow your mind about how deep this deception really goes. Chimaev's team has been using performance-enhancing drugs not just for physical advantages, but specifically to mask his cardio deficiencies. We're talking about sophisticated doping programs that go way beyond typical steroid use. They've been using experimental compounds to boost endurance, EPO-style treatments to increase oxygen capacity, and cutting-edge recovery methods that are definitely not legal under USADA regulations. Strickland believes the only reason Khamzat hasn't been caught yet is because his connections provide access to masking agents and testing schedules that regular fighters don't get. And listen to this absolutely insane detail about how the UFC's promotion machine has been complicit in building this false narrative. Internal communications that have leaked suggest that company executives knew about Chimaev's limitations early on, but decided to push him anyway because of his marketability and social media potential. They've been booking him against specifically chosen opponents, timing his fights to avoid certain drug testing windows, and even manipulating broadcast commentary to emphasize his strengths while downplaying obvious weaknesses. For someone like Strickland, who believes the UFC should be a legitimate sport rather than entertainment theater, this level of manipulation represents everything wrong with the organization. But wait, it gets even more disturbing when you realize how this affects other fighters in the division. Legitimate contenders who have worked their entire careers to earn title shots are being passed over in favor of a manufactured star whose resume doesn't justify his ranking. Guys who have paid their dues, faced real competition, and proven their skills in legitimate wars are watching opportunities disappear because the promotion needs to protect their golden boy's image. Strickland sees this as a fundamental betrayal of meritocracy in MMA, where marketing potential matters more than actual fighting ability. And here's something that's going to make you question everything about how modern MMA careers are built. Chimaev's social media presence, which seems organic and authentic, is actually managed by a team of professional content creators and psychological manipulation experts. Every post, every training video, every interview response has been carefully crafted to maintain specific narratives and emotional responses from fans. The authentic Chechen warrior persona is as manufactured as any corporate brand, designed by marketing professionals who understand exactly how to push people's buttons and create artificial emotional investment. So here's what Strickland is really fighting against when he goes after Chimaev. It's not just one overrated fighter or one controversial political connection. It's an entire system of deception that threatens to turn mixed martial arts into professional wrestling, where storylines matter more than skills and entertainment value trumps athletic legitimacy. Sean sees himself as one of the last real fighters in a sport that's becoming increasingly fake, and Khamzat represents everything he's trying to prevent MMA from becoming.